Hello, I'm still staying in Sennelier and it's been pretty stormy lately, but in between the rain this morning I went to the harbour and sat on my favourite bench with a cup of peppermint tea and I took this photo. Back at the house I felt like painting it. I didn't want to do anything too realistic looking though, so this is more of a sketchy kind of looking piece. I'm painting onto Canson XL watercolour paper and I'm mainly using Winsor & Newton Galleria acrylic paints, but also a few Amsterdam standard acrylic paints. I opted for more muted colours than I usually go for, I think to reflect the duller weather we've been having. I just grabbed the nearest paper to hand really, so this paper probably isn't ideal for acrylic and will buckle slightly. I'm also using the acrylics in a different way from how I usually use them. In the last few months I've been painting them really thickly onto MDF boards. But here I'm not aiming for the brush strokes to be shown as much. I'm doing a bit more blending and painting with the paint much more thinly. I'd also bought a new set of paintbrushes to paint more finer details with acrylic paints, which are these blue brushes. These are inexpensive Vinci brushes and I'll put a link to them down below. They're a little bit softer than the other brushes which I've used for acrylics in the past and I actually really enjoyed them. As I was doing this painting, I found it really hard not to get sucked into trying to do an exact copy of the photo. I kept purposely trying to stop myself using the exact right colours, and I tried to keep the shapes looking more cartoony and much more simplified. As I said, I was using a lot less paint than usual, and I tried to get a bit more of a dry brush look going to give a different kind of texture. Once the acrylic paint had dried, I used a Faber-Castell matte graphite pencil to put some details in. Again, I kept these in a very loose, sketchy style, and I also used some white acrylic paint to paint some boat outlines as well, and buildings. I decided to leave it here. I didn't want to keep going and adding more and more detail and making it look more realistic. I've been reading more about the St Ives artist Alfred Wallace this week, and I kind of feel like this is a nod towards his simplistic and more childlike style. I really enjoyed doing this anyway. It was a lot of fun and yeah, I quite like how it turned out. Straight after I finished that picture, I decided to start another one, this time using Sennelier and Unison soft pastels and also Prismacolour NuPastel, which are a little bit harder. I'm doing it onto Canson Mi-Teintes velvet paper. I set out with the intention of doing this in a quite loose style as well and having big bold pastel marks, but it ended up getting more detailed and blended than I meant it to. I used another of my photos for the reference, this time of Trevornon's Cove, my local beach. I've used the same reference photo now a few times, but I quite like it, and this picture will be for my craft market this coming Saturday. I don't do a huge amount of blending in this picture, but when I do, I use either my finger or some fabric or an eyeshadow applicator type tool from Jackson's, which I'll link to down below. For this fairly early stage of the painting, I'm just layering up the Sennelier and Unison soft pastels. I just keep going till I'm happy with the colours. And then towards the end, I introduce the use of the NuPastels, which are harder. I snap little bits of them and use the hard edges of them for smaller details. I really enjoyed doing this one as well. This must be my 4th or 5th full soft pastel painting now, and I really do seem to like the soft pastels. I think I like the hands-on nature of them and that there's no wooden barrel in the way or anything. You can use any part of the pastel in any way you like, such as on its side or on its end. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing these 2 pictures from my kitchen table in St Ives this morning. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!